Hello and welcome back to another Island 54 development stream where I am working on a survival crafting MMO. Yesterday I started work on my biome code, so the code to work out which biomes are going to go where. Now the point of me working on this code is to get this out for playtest, and the playtest I want to run is people having to find little forests. Hey random guy. And maybe fend off some trolls there, grab some wood, and just see how the mechanic works and make sure that the server's stable and the mechanic itself is kind of compelling. So today I will continue work on that. What have we got here? I can find my. Going to close out some windows that I used for making my thumbnail. There's a silly thumbnail. And work out where I'm at. I should probably do this before I start my stream. Okay, so here we go. We'll just stop the server, restart it, and we'll just see where things are at. So I had been working on generating what I guess I should call a chunk property or something for the crust thickness of a chunk. Okay. Sorry, just lots of windows to sort out over here. Let's get everything right. I need my YouTube studio and I need my Twitch stream manager. Excellent. Okay. This is running. Should be able to run my game, and we'll see the crust thickness signal being generated. And there we go. Ignore the fact that everything's floating. That's because they were generated with regular terrain rather than this new continental crust terrain. Now, what I kind of want to do is draw, put another layer of noise over this, but it's going to look kind of funny. In fact, I might as well just demonstrate it. If we come back in here, so at the moment we're taking the crust thickness and using that as to generate the height. Let's pull this out into a method because that's a pretty horrible piece of code. Get y from thickness. Place that with an arrow function, and I'm going to make this use some conditions instead. So let's say if crust less than 0.7, and let's call this one a local constant, and I'm going to call this ocean percentage, ocean ratio. So if our crust value is less than that, then we want to return that. But in here, let's do a coordinate system dot, let's go water level. Sorry, I had my OBS closed. And I just saw your comment, random guy, on my post about the links being the same. Yeah, I did have the link incorrect, but then I edited the post. I had an extra character hanging off the end of it. But no idea how. Okay. we come back in here. That looks fair. So if we're in the ocean realm, then we take that value, convert it to a value between 0 and 1, and then multiply that by the water level. Easy. Otherwise, we're going to say const above water is going to be crust minus the ocean ratio. So that tells us how much above water we are. Getting close. That needs to be floored. Okay. Catch around random guy. Now I'm going to make this a little smaller so we won't make the continents go all the way up to the top of the world. We'll only allow them go up to halfway. And then, yeah. That, and then we're going to add the water level. Yeah, that's much nicer code than what we had before. That was all just magic numbers. Now this should mostly work the same as before. The slope is probably about half what it was before. You have to go about twice as far to get an increase. There's a lot of beach. So what I might also do is change this ratio here back down to something smaller. Well, a smaller denominator. This should make it a bit steeper again. So we don't have to run as far to get to the grass. There we go. Not sure if that actually worked, but okay. Now, the reason this isn't going to work is if I just add another source of noise to this, what we're going to find is we're still going to have these big steps wherever the chunks end. So we'll add in just a little bit of noise, maybe about, I don't know, 4 meters of noise. We'll make that fairly high frequency. We need to give it a source. No, not noise. Simplex. Simplex offset, we will make 0, 0, 4 meters magnitude, 1 frequency. And then X, and then Z. Okay. So what that should do is that should just add another source of noise over the top. So we should have a bit more undulation to our terrain now. Oh, that's a bit too much undulation. Okay. Let's turn that down a bit. I think the easiest way to turn that down is like that. And we can smooth it out a bit, something like that. Math.round, because I'm only putting in a meter of noise. Here we go. Still too noisy. This just takes a little bit of tuning. Something's not working here. Oh, no, we're getting some bigger hills. Yeah, okay. Actually isn't looking as bad as I thought it would. A bit of a run around just to see how I feel about it. I'll probably change it so that water doesn't pull like this, and in fact so that even sand doesn't pull. Okay, hang on, let me rerun this to get my bearings. Thought I was going to get ocean back here. Okay. One thing I can do in here is I can decide to not have the ground as lumpy if it's ocean. So let's do crust thickness here is equal to that. Let's just try that. Can I make this a const? No, I could if this were Java. No, I can't. That looks pretty cool. I know I shouldn't be putting magic numbers in. That +2, I believe, will give me the sand layers, so it lets me keep the beaches smooth as well. Okay. Yes, so here's what I was talking about with the chunk boundaries. We can see the chunk boundaries here, and this isn't ideal. Likewise, if we head over to the water's edge here, the coastline will always follow chunk boundaries. Again, is not what I want. Look like fish. Blueberry bushes, raspberry bushes. Okay. So one way of fixing that is instead of passing through the coordinate like this, which is the chunk coordinate, I could pass through the axial coordinate. So let's just try that. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Global hex. And then up in here, we'd then change this to an axial. And then over here, this would, no, that all stays the same. So now when we do this, it'll be generating a new crust thickness, not per chunk, but per, that didn't work. It's meant to be generating it per, per voxel. Maybe it is. No, it really doesn't feel like it, does it? Oh, maybe it is. No. Oh, it's easy enough to tell, actually. I can go into scene view. Yeah, here are the chunks. So it is still doing chunk-based, which is not what I want. What's going on there? Ah. Yes. It's not considering the voxel coordinate within the chunk. So let's pull this out and call that voxel coordinate. And then in here, let's use voxel coordinate. There we go. That's much better. If we come into scene view and look over here, you can see that the chunks no longer align as clearly with the, oh, that's a water piece. Yeah, the chunks no longer align with the coastline, which is what I want. Okay. Looking a bit better. I'll next put well, I want to change the frequency a little bit of the crust so that I don't need to run as far towards the coast. Let's just do that in here. It's when I get the crust thickness. Oh, this is one I thought I changed earlier. I had not. Oh, I must have changed it down in here. I did. Okay. So this should give us a much narrower beach. Something else is broken. I'm no longer on the coast. It's a little bit strange. This is the kind of thing I'm looking for. I reckon this is starting to look good. I just need to find a better seed. But you notice we still have this big step up here. So I still need to do something about that. It kind of looks cool sometimes, doesn't it? Now, the reason that's doing that is these noise functions are always incrementing the height. And I've made it so that the sand has no noise added to it, whereas the grass does have noise added to it. So one way of combating that would be, let me think. I kind of want to take the average of its neighboring chunks. Hmm. And I want to dampen this noise as it gets towards. Okay, let me try something. Let me pull up some source material. Let's go for I think I want Amit Patel. So that's observables. Oh, Sandra Evers, sorry. For any given voxel in here, say this one, what I want to do is I want to find the three nearest chunks. So one of them will be the chunk that it's in. The other one will be this chunk over here. The other one will be this chunk down here. And then I want to take a weighted average. I think. Or do I want to just say if it is... Okay, what I'll do, I'll find the second and third closest chunks. So that will give us the two best neighbors. And we'll say that if one of those is a flatter biome, so beach or ocean, then it can reduce its noise, the sort of the magnitude of the noise. It can reduce based on the proportion of the distance to that chunk and this one here. So that will mean that as we get right to the edge, if this one's a beach and this one's grassland, as we get right to the edge, I want the magnitude of the noise to approach 0. So we'll get a gradual reduction in noise over here. I think that makes sense. If it goes to get crust thickness for chunk, neighbor. Why doesn't it like that? Oh yeah, that needs to be the neighbor global hex. This isn't quite right. The problem I have is it's not the chunks. My biomes aren't necessarily corresponding to the edges of chunks. Otherwise, we end up with weird geometric coastlines, which I don't want. So a chunk can have multiple biomes. That's something I just need to accept. Or I could not accept that for now and just put up with the geometric coastlines. It would be simpler. Let's go down that path. Let's say let's do that. And then right, I'm bouncing all over the place here. I'm going to try something else. I'm going to continue down this path. And I am going to treat the center of a chunk as special. So I'm going to continue to find the three nearest chunk centers, find out what their height is. All right, coord is a chunk coordinate. Neighbors is a list of chunk coordinates. This is meant to be get crust thickness. Then I want to sort these. I want to sort them on distance. So let's do that first. Okay. So I'm going to sort them based on the distance. Okay. I think that's right. Node.js array sort. I just want to find an example to make sure I've got this around the right way. Here we go. If we return a positive value, then it will swap the order. This will be positive if A is bigger, so further away. So this is correct. Excellent. Next, I need to take just the first 3. Can I just do... I'll just calculate the crust thickness for each one. I kind of want to do a splice. Oh, surely I can... What does splice return? Yes, here we go. So I just want the first 3 of them. Like that. So we'll pull out indices 0, 1, and 2. Then we'll get their heights. I sure hope this works, because this is starting to bend my mind. Let's return a tuple from this. Neighbor minus voxel coordinate dot magnitude. We need the global hex. Here we go. So what this does is it finds the distance for each neighboring chunk including the chunk itself. Find the distance of the point we're considering. And return a tuple of it and the neighbor. In fact, I think we can actually just do this. Rather than returning the neighbor, let's return the actual thickness. Sorry, get crust thickness neighbor. Is that not right? Oh yeah, that needs to be dot global. Dot global hex. Okay. Hello to whoever just joined. Currently continuing work on my biome code. Just kind of doing a bit of smoothing between the beaches and the grasslands, because at the moment there's a bit of a step up because I've got noise being applied to grasslands, but not to beaches and oceans. Okay. So that gives us a tuple of the distance and the thickness of that neighbor. Then what I'll do is I'll take well, I'll sort it by its distance. So rather than A, we'll go first distance and second distance. That second distance. First distance minus second distance. So this will sort them by the nearest one first, which we pretty much know is, well, we do know is going to be this one here, but that's okay. We then take the nearest 3. And then I might as well just pull out the thickness. Nearby thicknesses. Now, I actually want to process this here. So in here, I'll actually use the distance measure here to do scale. Oh, let's go weight. The thickness based on distance. Okay. Then I'll do a reduce. It's going to be some distance. It's going to go to sum plus distance, 0. That will just add up all of these values. Excellent. And then we can just divide the whole thing by 3. Because we've got 3 values in here. This is just an average, this step in here. Hey Asleth, how's it going? Currently working on the biomes. In fact, can I demonstrate this yet? I can probably demonstrate it. For some reason, I've got a bad feed again, but I'll be able to find a good one soon. If I just run up out of the ocean, you can see the ocean is nice and smooth. The beach is nice and smooth once we get up to the beach. And then we get into the grasslands, which unfortunately have this big step up, but then they're a bit noisier. And I'm currently correcting this step up here. It's caused by the fact that the beaches have no noise being applied to them. The grassland does have noise being applied to it, so that kind of adds a value onto it. And I don't want to just scale that, like I think it's 4 meters of noise. I don't want to do that kind of -2 because then that would just make this here become a dip down, this here become a dip up still. So I'm instead blending these biomes together. And this is my blending code in here. JetBrains with Unreal Engine 5, I haven't done it myself. I presume you would need another of their commercial projects called Sea Lion, the letter C, Lion. I don't think that any of their other products support C++. Yeah, so this is, I think, what you need. It does have a free trial, but I presume this will integrate with... Oh, well, hang on, I can probably search for that. Sea Lion Unreal Engine. Yeah, I'd say that's what you want. Unfortunately, I don't have free licenses for that. That's what I do all my C++ development in, though. Um, yeah, the one thing I find slightly frustrating about JetBrains products is so IntelliJ is their Java IDE. Technically, WebStorm is their JavaScript IDE, but you can do JavaScript in IntelliJ as well, and it works just as well. So IntelliJ, the full commercial version, just has all of the stuff from WebStorm, PyStorm, pretty much all of their editors in it. But some of these ones, like Rider, you can't do in IntelliJ, and I do wish that I could just do this development all in the one IDE, but I can't, as far as I can tell. And likewise, I'd love to be able to do C++ development in IntelliJ, but yeah, you have to use their separate IDE for that, unfortunately. Unless I'm mistaken, it's possible I'm mistaken and there's some way of installing the plugin, but you'd almost certainly need the commercial version at that point. Okay, so we've got the nearby thicknesses. Let's work out how this weighting is going to work. When we take the 3 nearest hexagon origins, chunk origins, sorry, One of them is always going to be closer than the chunk radius. That's going to be our own chunk. And then two of them are going to be greater than that. Now, at the point that they are all equal to the chunk radius, I want their heights to all factor in equally. So I could just... I'm tempted to just have a crack at this. I may end up with the code being wrong, but it might lead, even if it's wrong, it might lead to an interesting effect that I may want to keep. So it's a weird way of getting correctness, but let's just try. Um, um, we want to take the inverse. I think I want the inverse. Alternatively, I could not include the current chunk in here. I could only take two items here. Now I've got two distances that I know are greater than the chunk radius. They're less than the chunk diameter because if we're considering this chunk and our voxel is this one over here, then we wouldn't have been considering this chunk. We would have been considering these ones instead because we're always doing the two nearest chunks. So in the case that the distance is equal to the chunk diameter, that's when we're looking at this point here. I want the power of this, like I want the weighting of this chunk to be precisely 0. If we're right on the border at the chunk radius, then I want the power to be kind of 0.5. I'm going to put this back here. Oslath, both chunk centers divided by 2. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do, my chunks each have a property. Well, each of my voxels has a property, which is the thickness of the crust at that point. And I'm just trying to get it so that if this one is beach and this one is grassland, as we get to the edge here, I want the noise on this grassland to approach not even 0. It's going to be 0.5, so half its normal power. And then as we come back here, that's not quite right, is it? No, I want it to approach 0. The crust, yeah, delicious crust. Yes, I'm only doing this noise adjustment on grassland. So I wanted to approach 0 just here. Oh, so this is easy, isn't it? No, because my issue is, let's say this one is grassland, and this one down here off the bottom of this map is also grassland, and this one is beach. I want... This is wrong. This is definitely wrong. In that case, yes, I want this to have 0 noise. And I want down here to have 100% noise. That's correct, Osleth. But then over in this corner, I want to be 0. Now, this is easy in here. Well, I want this to fade down here. Both chunk centers divided by 2. Problem is I want it to be a weighted average. Oh, is this a... Do I actually want a linear interpolation? I think that's what I want. If I imagine a triangle... Yeah, it's... Okay, hang on. If I imagine a triangle being drawn like that between the centers... then... No, this is all wrong. This is completely wrong. Yeah, the problem I've actually got, Osleth, is my biomes don't end on chunk boundaries. So I just shouldn't even be considering chunk centers. I've intentionally made it so that my biomes can take a meandering path. So I think what I actually want is I just want to define my tail off distance. It might be might make it the chunk radius by default. That might just make sense. So 8 blocks. What if I just take each block and I just look out in each direction by 8? Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to look out in each direction by up to 8 until I find something that is a beach or an ocean. If I do find something that's a beach or an ocean, I basically just take the minimum of those distances and then I just apply, I use that as the scaling factor. This is going to be easy. This code's totally wrong. I'll just comment it out rather than deleting it in case I change my mind. Okay, so axial axes, terribly named axial axes. I need an, how do I make an enumerator on this? I can't. Okay. Let's just say I just want to apply a step in each direction. Axial axes dot, it doesn't matter, dot qs, comma, 1. Just going to do the 6, because there's 6 directions I need to look in. So let's do something like that. Then something like this. And something like that. Okay, so that is an array of all the different directions I can go. Yes, it's. I'm just going to do that with a loop. So just multiply each of these values by an increasing value. So let's do a map. And let's call this parameter direction. Well, it needs to be direction, comma, I don't know, sign. Then in here, I need a for loop. I'll use the chunk radius as my the axial axis and numeric integers. I think that what you're describing is this line that I'm writing at the moment. With this block I'm writing at the moment. I'll just get this one out and see if you agree once I've written this. Plus plus I. And then I'm going to go const neighbor. I find it really hard to write that the American way. Const neighbor equals voxel coordinate, apply direction, direction, comma, delta times, I times sign. Scuffed the joke. I think I missed something there, Oslath. I often do miss things. Okay, so I've got a neighbor. I can then get the crust thickness for that. Now, this I'm going to have to change, in fact, to do scale this to a sea level of 0.5. And then to do assume a sea level of 0.5. Okay. Might as well just do that now. So the ocean ratio is going to go up there. Const raw value is going to be equal to that. Raw value is less than ocean ratio, then return raw value over ocean ratio over 2. So I've got a value of like 0.6 come out of here. We want that to be underwater. So that's going to be 0.6. It's going to be 0.6 over 0.7, which is, I don't know, like 80% or something. Divided by 2 will be 0.4. Awesome. Otherwise, we are going to return the raw value minus ocean ratio divided by fucking type. 1 minus the ocean ratio. So if we've got a value of 1, well, 0.7, let's try 0.7. This will become 0, divided by whatever is still 0, plus, this should be a times, I think. Let's just keep going though, plus 0.5. If we've got a value of 1, that's going to be 1 minus 0.7 is 0.3. Divided by 0.3 seems right. Gives us a 1. Divided by 2 plus 0.5. Okay, if I take something in the middle, say 0.85, this will give us a 0.15 over 0.3 is going to be 0.5. This becomes 0.25, and we get a value of 0.75. Yep, okay. So that is now scaled so that our sea level is now at 0.5. So now I don't mind using, what have I done here? 0. No, I must have my numpad off. 0.5. 0.5, 0.5, and 0.5. Land ratio is 0.5. Okay. I don't mind using 0.5 as a magic value here. So that will simplify this code now. I don't need to have that 0.7 repeated everywhere. So we get the crust thickness for voxel of the neighbor. And we say if that is less than 0.5, it's not quite right, but because we've got, I don't know where the sand is going to kick in. So I'm going to get lumpy beaches. That'll be fine for now. So if, no, I need to sort this out. All right, I'm going to put a magic value in here. This is nasty. I think that needs to be a 17 or something silly. 18. Yeah, magic values all over the place. I'll clean all this up at some point. This is basically trying to say 18 is where sand stops generating. It's the highest level of sand. So yeah, I did actually have that code that the land ratio equals 1 minus 0.5. So that does feel like a half full, half empty. Just being asked to happen there. Okay. So if that, then we can return I. I will just break, in fact. Let's just do a break. And then in here, let's return I. Can't do a let I. There we go. So this will return the distance to the next flat voxel in a particular direction. So we'll get back 6 of these values. So I can then sort them in reverse order. I can take the first one and I can call this whole thing const closest flat ground, distance to, nice long variable names, distance to closest flat ground is going to be that. Then if this value is small, like 1 or 0, then I do not want to apply any noise. Const noise level is going to be equal to distance to nearest flat ground divided by chunk radius. Now, when I apply the noise, I can just do, I can actually probably do that up in here. I think I can do that. Fingers crossed, we come in here, we hit play. I've really got to find another seed so that I don't have to do this running every time. Okay, we come up here. Get our head above water. Here we go, that looks pretty good. That looks really good. Excellent. Okay, let's go generate a new seed. Because I really don't like this seed anymore. I don't know what I did to break the seed. It was working fine. Where's my terminal? I used to have a terminal. Oh, there it is. Find good seed. What? I have no good seeds. What I might do, because this is going to be a recurring issue in here if I don't. My problem is my find seed function is not calling into the actual get crust thickness for Hoxel. So anytime I change the behavior of this function, it's going to break my seeds. And I won't be able to find a new one because my seed code, the find seed is written differently. So, all right, I know what I'm talking about. Noise source, which is going to be a simplex noise, is going to be equal to crust simplex. And this is going to be noise source. Then down in here, let's go thickness is going to be equal to get crust thickness for Hoxel axial coordinate 0. And then we'll pass it the test simplex. But then we're going to keep on going until we find one that's between 0.5 and, I don't know, 0. 5.5. Rerun this. I'll step into this code just to make sure it does what I expect. We pick a seed, grab a thickness. Here's a seed that's wholly underwater. Oh, the second seed is good. Wait, what? Oh no, 0.7 is not good. And this appears to be doing kind of what I want. Why does this never return a value close to 0.5? I mean, that suggests that this can never be close to 0. .82. So I'm expecting this to be just under 0.5. Is that correct? Sorry, 0.75. I'm expecting this to be just below 0.75. Because 0.85 is the middle of the land. Yeah, that seems right. So raw value 0.82, 0.83, 0.80. Why does this never appear to occur in the range 0.7 through 0.8? What? What on earth am I missing? Hold on, what does this do? These should be 0. That's a 0. Cobord dot. It gave it to me for a second there. That is 0, and .z is 0. Okay. These values are just arbitrary. They just need to be not 0. Feels like there's something wrong with the noise generator. Let's see what values we get out of here. Sample. So this should be just a number between 0 and 1. Sample. Magnitude in this case is 1. That's fine. this is a value between -1 and 1. So this is a number between 0 and 2. So this whole thing should be a number between 0 and 1. So sample comes out to 0.511782. Get that. Samples 178149. Huh. I'm seeing a pattern in here. There is clearly something I'm not understanding here. All right. What I'm going to do then, there's some sort of uniformness to this noise function I'm using. So what I am instead going to do is pass another couple of parameters in here, comma offset. Don't really care what this is. Well, I'm using 10,000 at the moment. 10,000, 1,000. Yeah, that should be offset 0. Offset 1. Okay. Now what I can do is down in here, I'll just tune those as well. I'll just like pick a random like math.random times 10,000 math.round that. I'll just pick a random number between 0 and 10,000. Pick another one between 0 and 10,000. What doesn't it like here? Oh, that needs to be an array. All right. Okay. Is that going to work? Oh, something's not going to work. Hold on. Still no. Argument of type number is not assignable. Oh, I need to explicitly tell it this is a number. Number. I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall here today. Step through, make sure it's doing something sensible. In here, thickness is 0.17, 0.62. Oh, and here's one that's going to pass. There we go. So here are our parameters. We're going to try seed number 2. With an offset of, I can find that code. TypeScript is weird. Yeah, are you referring to the the tuple notation being different to array notation. I do find that a bit weird sometimes, a bit non-obvious. Okay. Yeah, this is technically not an array. This is a tuple. Just happens to use very similar syntax. And it does transpile. In the JavaScript, it transpiles too. It is... what's the word? Yeah, it uses arrays internally in the transpiled code. Okay, let's run this. Hopefully this is a good seed. Should be. Don't see why it wouldn't be. There we go. That's a good seed. Again, ignore the floating trees. That's just because we're not regenerating terrain scatter. Excellent. So yeah, we've got some grassland. Awesome. Now, if I blow the database away, we should get some new terrain scatter. Where am I? I probably shouldn't do that when the... Oh, it wasn't running. Good. Here we go. So we've got some stones on the beach, and then we get some trees up in the grassland. Awesome. Now it's worth noting, oh, that's kind of cool, a little crest there. Yeah, I quite like the look of this. Quite happy with that. Still got, I assume, issues with trees and shrubs and things not touching the ground. Yeah, there's one. Still don't know what's causing that. I think that I might be using the voxel height instead of the mesh height to place the items, because the mesh does get perturbed quite a bit. It gets tugged by the terrain surrounding it. So there's a bad example because that tree is correctly placed, but some of these corners get pulled up or down based on what's around them, and that can lead to quite a big difference. Yeah, here's one. So I presume that this voxel is actually quite high up, but because of this big slope here, it's my mesh generator has kind of pulled this vertex down. And then when I put the stone in, oh, that was a bit of a jitter. When I put the stone in, it's putting it at the wrong height. In fact, I probably have a to-do in my code, I'm guessing. Not that to-do. Move scatter, generate scatter. No, there's no to-do. What's Y? Yes. I don't believe that this endpoint takes a vector, and I don't think that it looks at the mesh. We pop over to entity controller, entities controller. When we instantiate a prefab, which is probably this code just here. No, that's an update. Instantiate prefab. This takes a coordinate. Here's my to-do. Do a proper terrain intersection. Yeah. So this is kind of fair enough. One thing I can do to improve the behavior, it won't actually change the behavior at all, but it'll mean this bug gets fixed a bit faster. When I do generate the scatter, I should be setting y to be -1. And that will cause the entity service, well, let's just pass that through as y. Patient is y. Where did we get that from? I'll just leave that for now. Yeah, the problem is if I pass through this y value, then the entity service is going to trust it, and that's not a good thing. I've got a feeling this is actually a bug in the protocol here, so I'll fix that later. Yep, single bad joke, random guy. Okay. I really like this. So now I'm going to put in a copse of trees. Let's do that. Um, Now, I also kind of noticed that I've not used any. I'm not actually storing the biome anywhere, and that's just something interesting to note. Maybe I don't actually want biomes. Uh, Maybe what I want to do is change my configuration file. What if I add some extra parameters here? And actually do a min temperature of 0 and a max temperature of 0.3. What kind of pictures do hermit crabs take? It's got to be something snaps. Uh, no, don't know. What kind of pictures do hermit crabs take? Shelfies. Oh god, that's terrible. Um, okay, I'm not going to be streaming a huge amount longer today. I will just try and get these trees occurring in clusters. Uh, so to do that, I need to put more conditions in here. If temperature less than or equal to rule.max temperature or rule.max temperature less than 0. Out of interest, these are actually wrong now. It should actually be if these are undefined. Rule dot max temperature is main menu design. Yeah, I'm totally just going to get someone to just get a graphic designer to do my main menu. I don't mind doing the menu code. I find that pretty easy. Just use an off-the-shelf design pattern, something like model view presenter, and things like menus become really straightforward. Min temperature. Min temperature. Yeah, I basically don't use Unity for my menus. I mean, I use them for placing the components, but for any of the control stuff, it's all just done by, I just do it using model view presenter. I just get Unity to send the events through uh, to my presenter class. Can't find that. Okay, const temperature. Let's do height, comma, temperature. We're not allowed biomes anymore because chunks don't have biomes. I really think the concept of biomes is going to die. It's kind of funny. Temperature is going to be a number. Then I just need to be able to generate that. Chunk data generator, this should be broken. There it is. Hoxels is chunk data. Chunk data will return a height. There it is. And we need a temperature. Get temperature for chunk. I'm going to change the definition of that. Come back in here. All right, now running this code, I'm going to try random guy. Yeah, I've just unfortunately been extremely busy in the afternoons, Australian time. So I've not made much progress at all on it. But I am going to try. Okay. Don't need that. Oh, should I leave that in? I'll leave that in. I'll add it to the Hoxel data. Yes. All right, I'm going to totally change this scatter code. Because don't want that. This does need the biome. Yeah, there's no point in telling spruce trees which temperature they want. I could just tell them instead, I'll just put this as grassland for now. Biomes.grassland. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. If I come back in here, I don't care about the height or the temperature. What I care about is that they get placed into a um, spruce copse. All right. Yeah, I'll show you my code for my main menus, random guy. I've got very little Unity code, like basically no Unity code. Um, scenes, main menu, very, very ugly main menu. Um, yeah, so here's my main menu. The the layout is done in Unity. Um, so you can see here, it's got each of these buttons is controlled by Unity. Um, Separately, I've got a multiplayer menu that I can kind of pop up. It just kind of looks like that. But then these are just configured so that, like multiplayer, I have, yeah, all this does is it calls into the main menu presenter uh, on multiplayer clicked. So all of my code for my menus, I don't really have any Unity code as such. I can find my menu code. I just had it. I just literally had it open. Here we go, main menu. So my main menu presenter gets called on multiplayer clicked. All it does is it tells the view to show the multiplayer settings. All that does is hide one object, show another. So yeah, I don't really have any Unity code other than set actives just to hide and show things. On play clicked, it goes and validates the input, tells Unity to go and load the scene. So yeah, I've got very, very, very little Unity code. Now I am going to have to undo whatever I just did then. Scenes, demo scene. Uh, uh, don't save. Okay, where was I? Trying to see what state things are in. See, now you're tempting me, random guy, to be as boring as I can so that you have to say it's interesting. Okay, hit play on this. This won't do. This is going to crash. Something's going to crash. Server's going to crash because I've only half written the code. Ah, it's not generating scatter at all, of course, because I've already generated that scatter. Play. If I can get it to crash, it will be a lot easier. Here we go. A lot easier to debug. Come back in here. What? Apparently I have to run the server. Bugger. Rerun the game. Oh, it's generating scatter. Why is it generating scatter? Oh, I know why. I have taken out the conditions around height and all that kind of stuff. Whereas my scatter generator is doing height checks. I'm not going to do temperature checks anymore. I am going to put in here rule.biomes is undefined, or um, okay. Isn't there an any or something? Any? There we go. I think that's correct. So if it meets the height requirements, which it will because ours are undefined, and it specifies the biome, I think I need to breakpoint this lambda here, this predicate, uh, because I'm not sure that I've written that correctly. Nope. What didn't come up? Something did not come up. What have I done wrong? Is that working now? Okay. I'm probably going to decode the very first letter of that in a second, and I reckon I know what it will be. I am going to guess the first letter is an I. 1001 is the ninth letter, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. Yes. I'm not even going to bother decoding the rest of that because I know exactly what it says. Is the last one a G? No, hang on, the last one's not a G. Hey, Crispy, welcome. Welcome back. Okay, so what have I got? Did something crash? Bit confused here. Run it again. Can't fetch chunk. Oh, here we go. Yep, it doesn't. There's no such thing as any. What is it? Is it any of? I'm sure there's basically a filter with a length check in Node. It seems happier with this at least. It changed the color of it. Yes, I did hear that random guy. They're technically the head of state in Australia, by the way, so it kind of has some minor impact for us. Minor practical impact. Okay. Please work. Please. Pretty please. It's driving me insane. No, there's no any of. Ah. All right. Filter that dot length greater than 0. Node.js array any. Oh, some. Of course. You'd think I'd know a bit better. You'd think I'd know Node a bit better at this point. Okay, what's happening here? I think something hadn't come up yet, perhaps. Yeah, some's a terrible word for that, isn't it? Any is what it would be in most languages, I think. Okay, so what is B? Great. What's biome? Grassland. Awesome. So this should not generate any spruce trees because we don't have a spruce biome yet. There we go. It's pretty funny. It's loading in the entities before the terrain. Okay, so we no longer have spruce trees. So next, I need to actually populate the biome field. I quite like C#. It's quite a nice language. I mean, there are some things about it I don't like the different behaviors between structs and classes and how difficult it is to tell which one you have. I find that very, very frustrating. But then I do like the fact that you can have arrays of value types, so arrays of structs. Welcome back, King of the Chaos League. Yeah, there are times when having arrays of structs is a very nice performance feature. Okay, so I need to choose the biome. Let's let biome. Biome. Okay, so this is where I'm going to decide whether or not to make a region spruce tree. So if the temperature is less than, I don't know, let's just make it 0.3, then we'll make it yeah, there are some other things I don't particularly like about it that I wish they had have taken from C++. Um, the big one is deterministic destruction. So in C++, you can control exactly when a destructor is going to be called, and that lets you do a lot of lazy cleanup, and it's a really powerful tool in C++. Um, but C sharp, the closest it has is uh, using clauses, but you can't easily nest them, or it gets ugly if you do nest them. It also means you can only clean up things that are attached to the stack, rather than C++, where you can have things attached to the heap and have them cleaned up at a very specific point in time. And I don't know why they didn't bring that in .NET. Biomes dot, I guess .NET kind of has it. I mean, C++ .NET supports it, but that does it at the language level then. And yeah, as I said, I wish they had brought that into C sharp. Spruce crops. Why am I not getting any auto completion on these? Excuse me. Okay, is that going to work? I've got a reasonably good feeling about that. Oh, there's no point in running this because I need to regenerate my entities. Stop that. Bring down the database. Okay, this is not what I wanted. I was very much expecting some spruce trees. Okay, Oh, no, of course I wasn't. I'm saying the temperature has to be below 0.3, but my temperature function returns 0.5. Some structs outside multi-threading. Ah, yes. Structs are destroyed automatically, but only if they're on the stack. So you can't. Um, I think that's correct. Yeah, I can't remember now that I think about it. Um, all right, let's just do a noise. We need some temperature noise. Um, noise. Is there a command in IntelliJ just for a random number? Not noise, random. There we go. There's our seed. Doesn't matter what we use here. Temperature simplex. I'm not going to use offsets this time. The magnitude is 1. The frequency, I'm going to do 1 over, I don't know, 256. See how it looks. The height is going to be 1. Okay. Oh, that was meant to be temperature. Okay. That's running. Oh, I need to blow away my database, don't I? Blow away the database. Restart the server. I'm going to finish up very soon here. I just need to see these trees spawning in groups. Nope, I don't see any trees. Okay, we'll get some more terrain to generate. we go. Temperature 0.44. My temperature is right, maybe I do need a. Oh, what I'll do, I'll decrease the. Well, I'll increase the frequency. And I'll just give it some offsets as well. Real for height. Where am I? Chunk data generator. Get temperature. Yeah, let's just give it something like that, and something like that. I'll decrease this frequency. Oh, what happened there? Oh, it won't know how to process the temperature over on the client side. Um, do I want to be passing that data through? Probably not. Voxels. What have I done? Yeah, we'll get rid of temperature. Biome. It needs to know biome. The client will not be happy with that. Hang on. Did that fix that? Yep. Rider. Chunk loader, I think, is where I define the chunk type. This should not be there. It should be there. I think something's not right here. I don't know. I'm not sure what I need to do here. I'll look at the exception that I get out. And it will probably say that something is or isn't defined when it should be in the JSON that's coming back. Or it'll just magically work. That'd be nice. Error occurred. What's the error? Server returned an invalid result. Well, it wouldn't help that I'm... what did I just do? I just pressed something. I think it was just because I was on a breakpoint. And in fact, the client shouldn't care about the biome at all. So let's get rid of the reference to the biome. then run that. Here we go. Yeah, this is the kind of thing I'm after. So, there's two things I want to do here. One is I want to make these copses further apart, which will naturally make them bigger, the way that the noise works. To do that, I just change this number to something else. Let's just try 256. Yeah, thanks, Oslath. I agree. It is starting to look a bit better. Did I remember to reboot to delete the database? Yes, looks like I did. So we should have to run further to find any trees. Maybe not this far though. Hmm. That is very unexpected. Uh, why is it when I increase the frequency? Sorry, when I decrease the frequency, seems to confuse the noise function. Oh, maybe I'm just going into a, yeah, I'm applying the scale to the offset plus the X parameter. I think what I actually want to do is this. Um, so what this will do is mean that when I change the frequency, it doesn't change my offset at the same time. Otherwise, I'm applying. It's just too hard to control where things are at. Okay. Um, Now that might help. Something's not happy. What's wrong there? Oh, I know what that is. Sorry, that's because I have a client. I left a client connected and blew away the database. So I blew away all the caches. So the client is sending packets and the server can't find the session information. So if I just reconnect the client, it should all just come good. Yes, okay, and this is fine. We're on the bottom of the ocean. This is expected because I'm I've just changed the way that the offsets are interpreted, so I'll need to generate a new seed. I just come up here, we'll get our head above water. Still no spruce trees. All right, let's generate a new seed. Seed is going to be 32. Crust offset. That it has to be a number. Okay, I'll just make sure that that seed has taken and that it does what I wanted. We should be on a beach. Beautiful. I need to delete the database again because, oops, that's not what I wanted. Because I don't know where my entities are. They would have been, yeah, they were probably, it thought it was ocean at that point when it was generating the entities. So it won't generate new ones. Still not happy. Did I not run the server? I did not run the server. What have I done? What is Unity doing? Go. Okay. Bit of lag there. Okay, so these trees are a bit too uniform for my liking. Oh, here we go. No trees over here. It's kind of cool. Okay. So I'm not 100% happy with that. Getting close though. I'm going to make it a little higher frequency. Say 128. I'm going to make the biomes smaller. And I'm going to increase the chances of trees spawning. So it'll be a thicker forest. The Forgotten, will it have layers as well? Not sure what you mean. I'm not going to have layered biomes. Um, at least not at this point. If I have a compelling use case for it later, then I will. Okay, this looks a little better. Ooh, it's an interesting line of trees. Cool. And I don't intend to do the sort of Minecraft style height-based biomes either. Like an ogre. I'm going to have an aggressive mob. For now, it's just going to be a troll, but I intend to replace it with something a bit more bespoke at some point. I was hoping for a few more trees than this. Yes, trolling the players. I'm a little bit annoyed with how few trees there are. I don't know if it's a bug. Hey, it's not deleting old entities, is it? All right, that's a bug. Yeah, no more trees. Very strange. We appear to be on an island. That's kind of cool. Yeah, it's just going to be a. I've just got to tune this noise function to do what I want. I'm sure that there'd be more trees if I would go further afield. But you can tell where I've already run based on the entities loading in the distance. Um, I know why the entities are staying loaded in the distance. By the way, I think I've just worked that out. The server is probably telling the client. It's seeing that it needs to delete all those entities. Um, but it's deciding instead to send a chunk invalidation. Oh, here's some more trees. Hey, they're always in ridges. This feels wrong. Why are they in straight lines? No, there's no way that's correct. Am I sending a Z coordinate instead of an X coordinate? Is that, I mean, it looks to me like this is running a perfectly straight line. Okay, let me look at my code. No, sorry, I stopped talking, didn't I, about the entities? No, those entities are persisted in a database. The server is seeing that the client needs to unload those entities. It starts preparing to tell it to unload those entities, but it decides there are too many entities to tell it to unload over UDP. So instead, it's sending it a chunk invalidation, which tells the client to go off and fetch those entities over HTTP. Client's fetching those entities over HTTP, and which returns the entities. So instead of deleting them, I'd say it's reinserting them. Um, so yeah, that's probably a bit of a problem. Easy enough to fix. I just needed to give it a. I think I can do a chunk invalidation that tells it to delete the entities rather than refetch them. So I just need to clean that code up. All right, what have I got here? Where's my chunk? It's going to be the data generator because it must be setting the biome incorrectly. get temperature for chunk. Ah, here it is. It's not meant to be a Y, it's meant to be a Z. All right. This should at least improve the trees. Hold on, make sure that's deleted. Rerun the server. The temperature, the forgotten, is actually just it's just a value that it generates for each voxel, and I'm only using that at the moment to decide whether or not I'm going to grow a forest there. So yeah, other than that, it's not using that currently. I do intend to, though. I'd quite like to use a, what's the game that I'm thinking of? Two games spring to mind. One is 7 Days to Die, where you need to manage your temperature because there are Arctic regions and desert regions. The other one that springs to mind is The Long Dark. And while it's always cold, the weather does change, and sometimes it's colder than other times. Okay, now I need to retune my noise function here because here we go. This looks really good. This is exactly what I'm after. So what you're seeing here is just a little patch where the temperature happens to be higher than, sorry, lower. I'm using low temperature to say that it'll generate the trees. Whereas over here, the temperature has increased. I didn't know that people had done that in Minecraft. Okay, here's another small copse of trees. Oh no, it's not too bad. Yeah, I need to fix this flicker as well. Awesome. This is exactly what I'm after. All right. I'm going to have to finish up streaming there because I've got to go grab lunch. I'm going to try and get my devlog episode out this weekend. I reckon I can find the time to do it. But otherwise, I'll be streaming Monday morning Australian time, so that'll be Sunday evening US. Thanks for the follow, the forgotten. Um, Forgotten. So yeah, I'll catch everyone on Monday. That's Sunday evening US time, or is that right? Doesn't sound right. Yeah, that's right. Or ridiculously early Monday morning European time. So thank you again, and